Gentlemen, happy Father's Day. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you so much for being here today, for celebrating your morning with us. Jackalope has already started the dad joke fiasco, so thank you so
Yes.
much, Jackalope. I appreciate that. Siren, happy day. Hope you're doing well today. Thank you for being here. Definitely appreciate you, AZ. And as you guys can tell, we have a special guest. We have Mr.
Well, I don't know
Mike
about that.
Nottleman from the Coin Show podcast. So, hey, Jack Riley, good morning. How you doing? So, we're going to talk about something kind of unique, a little bit different. Mike approached me with this idea. It sounded like it'd be a lot of fun. And we talk about coins that we love all the time. But what about coins that we don't like or that we don't like? Maybe it might be a series or something. And then what's going to happen is there's going to be conversation story regarding maybe the design elements, maybe why they chose to do certain things, maybe clear up some misnomers about something that happened with it, or some historical precedents as to why that particular item was chosen. Not necessarily to get you to change your mind about it, but to get you thinking about why certain happened. Sometimes the more you know, the less you hate. So I thought it'd be a lot of fun. It was a great idea by Mike. And
That
of
was more
course,
profound than you thought, Frosty.
say that again.
The more you know, the less you hate, I think was more profound than you think.
Yeah, well, but it goes with everything, right?
It does.
It's really easy to be, take it from the movie Matrix, and he's sitting there eating the steak, and he says, "You know what I know? Ignorance is." Um, right, because it's fact. And so
Yeah.
the more you know, you have to make assessments. You have to assert, well, where really do I stand on this? So I thought it was a great idea. It really helped to understand kind of the coinage and why somebody hates it. Jackalopes is the Benji. So it'll be fun to find out why people hate certain things, or what I shouldn't say hate, dislike. There are some people that like hate nickels, right?
Your
Absolutely hate
sound
nickels.
is still low, just to let you know.
Say again.
Your sound, your volume is still low.
Pump up the volume.
Pump up the volume.
What's really weird is I'm showing myself as high. So is anybody else having issues with
Yeah, are
the
you guys, is his volume low to you guys too, or is it
He's
just
fine now.
Yeah, because I'm showing, I mean, when I look at
that's
my
better?
when I
That's a
look at
little
my
bit
gauge,
better.
yeah, me's like I hear you loud and clear. When I look at my
Okay.
gauge, I'm sitting up in the yellow red areas, so
Okay.
I shouldn't be low. Um, everybody's saying good. Okay, I'll keep an eye
Okay.
on it. If it does drop, then put something in chat. Let me know. But the other thing is, I really want you all dropping your favorite dad jokes. Matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you know that when I was younger, I used to live near a beet farm?
No.
So the high school that I went to was called the Beet Diggers. It's not a joke. That's 100% fact.
Hmm.
And one year there was a terrible crop. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. Just the entire field got sick. It was totally decimated. But what they used to do when I was a kid is during the summer they would go pick the beets. We would actually go out, part of the 4-H club. Many of you remember that. And you would go out and you would actually pick beets. You'd cut the tops off and then you'd throw them in the do whatever. Well, in this particular year, the farmer got so fed up he went into music, and a lot of people were trying to figure out why that was. And I said, well, if you think about it, it makes logical sense. Think of all the sick beets he.
You know, and I told you this yesterday, Frosty, but I'm addicted to seaweed, but I'm seeking kelp.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
You
I
guys.
like the one that Eric posted in chat. Cow farts. Where do they come from? The derriere.
Derriere.
Yeah. I will tell you, this is not a joke, but the state of Wisconsin wanted to put on their license plate, "Come smell our derriere."
Oh my god.
But that's kind of wrong on a lot of levels.
No, but it's so right.
I love it. Yeah.
That is funny though.
Oh,
So what I decided I wanted to do today, since I was given this lovely audience on Father's Day,
Mhm.
that I want you guys to tell me about the coins you hate. And what I'm going to do is I'm either going to tell you a cool story about them, I'm going to tell you something cool about them, or some other interesting fact about them that makes them not the boring things that you think they are. I am armed this morning with the 100 greatest United States coins, Jeff Garrett.
I love that book.
I am armed with the 2026 Red Book,
Love
which
that
if you
book.
don't have a copy, you need one.
That's right.
indeed.
First new
And a
red book
copy
I bought
of
in
the
20
8th
years.
edition of the Coin World Almanac. And a lot of people don't ever talk about this book. This book has data. This book tells you about laws and specs and how many were made and where they were made. So it's like, if you want to know how many halves were made in Denver in 1966, you can look. Because that kind of information is sometimes pretty hard to find.
Ooh.
And that is the 100 greatest U.S. coins book you're talking about.
Yeah, except mine reads the other way.
Shut up.
The sarcasm will
There
get
you go.
thick today,
English.
folks.
There we go.
Just FYI.
What?
I said the sarcasm will get thick today. Just
Ooh.
It
FYI.
might.
The sarcasm is strong in this one. I don't know.
Oh, you know what? I found an old Star Wars toy of Darth Vader. And on it, it had
Yeah?
a sticker saying, "This toy causes choking."
Nice.
You have to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Which
I
I am
shouldn't-
not, so that blew
I
right
shouldn't
over
have
my head.
forced that
Frosty
joke.
will be here all week.
Yeah.
Try the veal.
I got you guys. I got 1,000 of them. This is prime day for me. Y'all know me.
Yep. We really like dad jokes at Harlan Burke. So it's one of those things where we're constantly throwing them back and forth at each other. And the worse, the better, which is kind of one of those things where I don't think any of us would have normally done that. Okay. Oh, you know what, Jack Riley? Mike won't like my disliked U.S. coin. Let's start with that one.
Go
There
for
you
it.
go.
I'll give you a little idea of what I got. Tell me what you got, Jack.
I think he's not alone.
Oh, Jack,
No.
you and I got problems, brother.
Jack. I thought you were my friend.
There's a lot of
No,
people
I mean,
know that
look.
dislike peace dollars.
Yep.
That's true.
I want people to understand something that had we not melted hundreds of millions of Morgan dollars, we probably would not have needed peace dollars. So what they were doing under the Pittman Act, one of the dumbest things ever, was they were buying silver from the Western miners. They were minting it into dollars. They were melting silver dollars, not the ones they just made, but they were melting silver dollars. And they did it indiscriminately, so they have no idea what the dates or mint marks are. And then they made those into bars, sold them to the British government, and took the money and bought more silver with it to make more silver dollars. Possibly the dumbest thing of all time. But the numbers of Morgan dollars that ended up melted are unknown, which means that the mintage is known, but the survival rates of some dates are completely unknown. And because of that, because of the melting of them, we probably didn't need peace dollars. They only made them from 21 to 28, and then from 34 and 35. And that seemed to last us 60 years, 70 years. So the interesting story about peace dollars, many people don't know this. The 1921 peace dollar, there was 1.02 million struck, all struck one day, December 28th, 1921.
Nice.
Love facts like that.
Me too. Would you like to debunk a myth about the peace dollar, Mike?
Sure, which one?
The V.
Oh, okay. So it was designed by Anthony Di Francisci. His wife was the model, and he wrote the "In God We Trust" in a traditional Roman lettering, which means that the U in trust is a V.
Yes, because there was no V in
It was
alphabet.
done
Correct.
on purpose.
I mean, there was no U in their alphabet.
Yeah, there's no me either.
Or
So-
I.
I got another. You
That was
guys
a
know
dad
I
joke.
like my history and I like my trivia. I've got another interesting factoid regarding the Pittman Act. Mike, you may or may not know this, but do you know that if you stretched the coins, you set them end to end, that the coins that they melted during the Pittman Act would be 400 miles long?
Wow.
Wow.
I've got another really cool story for you about the Pittman Act. So in 1919, the Indian government ran out of silver, or 1918, they ran out of silver. And so what they did was they asked their brand new mommy, the British government, to send them a shipment of silver. So the British government asked the United States to send, instead of the shipment to London, to send it directly to Mumbai. So all of your 1919 1 rupee coins are made from melted down Morgan silver dollars.
Wow, that's a good one.
I own several of the coins for that exact reason.
The
You
US
really
did that
generally
before.
won't know the source of your metal.
The US did that before also, to make some of their commemoratives. They also melted other coins down.
Well, it's not.
Well,
I mean,
hopefully they were melting down stuff we didn't like.
They
yeah, but
weren't. They were-
the
no.
U.S. mint melting coins isn't anything new, right? When
When they can. The
Yeah.
problem became when they had damaged clad coins, and they tried waffling them. Remember that?
Oh, I remember the waffles. Yeah.
Yes, and now everybody pays a premium for them as error coins.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And they are not.
I like the fact
error.
that they're not legal tender anymore, but you can still make out what it is.
Sometimes you can find them with the coin that was waffled is an error coin. And so that would be cool if I could have a waffled coin that was waffled because the coin itself was an error coin. But oftentimes you can't really make anything out on them. So
I had a waffle.
I'm hungry now.
And in the morning, I make a waffle.
They go my ego.
Well,
They go my ego.
Littlefoot, can I ask a question? Are there any silver mines that are open to mine just for silver or byproduct of mining for other metals now? I don't know the answer to that.
I will tell you this. This is what I know about silver mines, is that they become viable at higher prices of silver. And so as they become viable, they begin to work. And that's really what it comes down to, is it's a matter of, can they refine, or can they withdraw the silver at a profit? And if they can, they do. And when the price of silver goes down low enough, they just stop.
Are you looking to do some like mining yourself? Because if so, you can go to your various assay offices and things like that, and they can tell you where the claims are at. Then you can work on purchasing claims, but I don't know of any open mines where you can just go in and dig it up.
Alaska.
There, I put my specific dislike in chat.
Barber coinage from 1892 to 1916, plus
Yeah,
the
I
V
like
nickel.
the
V nickel.
Plus the V nickel, because they're all the same. The obverses are basically the same.
Okay, but in fairness, Eric, I can understand the whole Barber thing, but lumping the V nickel in with it, the V nickel is a tragedy all of its own.
Right. And it is separated from the actual Barber coinage, because the Barber coinage was 1892 to 1916, all of it.
Yeah, but I mean, the V nickel is a tragedy all its own. Nobody likes them. So, you know, it's like the Barber coinage, it's a subject to itself. I will tell you that Whitman.
You asked about seated Liberty. Love the seated Liberty, but that's a gold brick coin.
Some of the most beautiful pattern coins, though, are from the V nickel.
But and it's that I dislike it. It's something I dislike about U.S. coinage. That's just one of the things that they, I think they could have been better.
Okay, but think about this, Frosty. So at the time that we did it, we started doing it in 1838, right?
Yep.
We put the seated design on there, and we made very minor changes to it. The United States did not have enough coin for U.S. coin to be the sole coin of the realm. We were still accepting 8 reals. We were still accepting bits. We were accepting all kinds of foreign coins. The U.S. coins having a uniform design to them reinforced what they were to people that have may never seen U.S. money before. So it was important to the early U.S. that people, recognize it and recognize it as home team stuff. And so that was kind of how the seated thing worked. And all the silver coins had one design, all the gold coins had one design, and the copper coins had a different design. So that was kind of the common thread with it. And then they carried that through to the Barbers. Now it's like, why did they do that? Because Barber was an egomaniac, right?
You are correct.
Why do we have a 1916 Mercury dime that's super, super rare? Because Barber absolutely refused to stop making coinage with, his design on it. And it wasn't until Halloween of 1916 that they started making dimes in Denver with the Mercury design.
Yeah, he was fully against commemorating a president on the Lincoln cent. If it would have been,
he was against a lot of things. Most of which were taking his designs off of coins,
or continued the Indian cent, one or the other, if it was his choice.
Yeah. But the Indian cent was actually there before him, because that's a James Barton Longacre thing.
Right.
And it really needed to go by that point.
Sure. But I'm just saying, I know that you can read like I say, there's a lot of stuff out of the archive on him, and he was
he was a jerk.
Yeah, he was a jerk. And that's what I'm saying. His coinage, he did the coin, the half, quarter, the dime, from 92 to 16. And to me, they're just very generic. I mean, from a minting standpoint, they were probably a breeze. It probably,
and that's what I will tell you. From a technical standpoint, they were awesome,
right?
Because the die life was good, and the quality of the coins were good,
right? And
from his standpoint, that's what he was concerned about,
right? And that was his concern with the Lincoln cent, is that the reliefs were too high. There was going to be die damage in between the letters and stuff like that. And that's why there was a redesign mid-year of the master die.
Well, yeah, it's the whole Teddy Roosevelt revolution, right? It's the Basin dies. It's the 1907 Saints. It's the Indians and things like that with the not incused designs, with the sunken relief designs. So yeah, it's a lot of that.
But I just thought I'd throw that out there. Let's go to the next one. But that's my thing. I don't hate any coin. I love every single coin, actually.
Well, you're starting to find out that I really don't either. I mean, I definitely have my favorites, but
absolutely.
But there's something cool about everything.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of add something regarding the V nickel. If it wasn't for the V nickel, we would have another amazing story in the Racketeer nickel, right? The Racketeer nickel was the one where they plated in gold, and then the guy supposedly from Boston would pawn them off. So there's also some amazing numismatic stories with some of these coins, even though they weren't liked. Why did they only do it for 1883? well, obviously it was because this guy was, doing this, and they realized they had to put the cents on there. So there's a lot of really neat numismatic stories that are also out there that we have to take into consideration when we look at some of these. A lot of people don't even know the story about the V nickel and racketeer nickel. That's
Yes,
a
and
that's a
just
fun
so you
story.
guys know, if you go out to buy a racketeer nickel, the odds are that you're not going to get a real racketeer nickel.
Correct.
It's a racket.
So
Yeah,
it's
a racket.
Let me go through it really quick for people, because
Thank
it
you.
was one of the reasons why I wanted to bring my quarter ounce gold buffalo, is because it really illustrates it. So a quarter ounce gold buffalo is a pure gold coin. It is exactly the same size as a nickel. At the time, we were making 22 karat coins. We were making them 90% gold, but they were 90%. The nickel was about the same size as the $5 gold piece. $5 gold piece was just a touch bigger, but about the same size. And all they would do is why they called it a racketeer nickel is because they didn't really tell you that it was $5. What they would do is they'd read the edges, they'd gold plate them so it looked like a $5 gold piece. They'd buy something that cost less than 5 cents, and they'd put the nickel on the counter. If you gave them change for a 5, they'd pocket it and walk out. If you gave them change for a nickel, they'd go find another one. But the idea was that they didn't really do anything wrong. And we know that better. So that was the whole idea, it was the shopkeeper that committed the actual, assumption.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they passed. But it was definitely I didn't do anything wrong kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just want people to be aware that when they buy a quote unquote racketeer nickel, that you probably are not getting a true racketeer nickel.
Well, if you buy one that doesn't have a reeded edge to it, it's not right anyway. But a lot of them are made contemporary.
Shiny gold.
People make them now.
Shiny gold.
Yeah.
So we heard somebody, I think it was Jackalope or somebody that said they didn't like the Benji.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like Benjis. A lot of people don't like it. I like them.
Okay. So here's your deal on Benjis. Ben Franklin, $50. The eagle on the back is an afterthought.
Yep.
When they originally designed the coin, they made the Liberty Bell on there just like the sesquicentennial half. And they went through all the design process, and somebody looked at it and said, well, hold on a second. Where's the eagle? And they're like, what eagle? And they're like, the one that's required by law. So if you look, it's the exact same. It's Flanagan's eagle. It's the eagle from the quarter. And they just shrunk it and put it on there to make the law, to make the coin legal, and then moved it. That was pretty much it. Now, here's a couple interesting things about the Franklin half. 3 types of Franklin halves are really valuable. Full bell lines, right? Cameo and ultra cameo. Ultra cameo Franklins sell in the hundreds of dollars.
And that's like pre-53 is even more valuable, right?
Well, the proof ones were only made from 50 to...
they were made in 52, 51, weren't they?
Right. No, they were only made from 50 to 63.
Right.
So,
what about the type 1 56?
Well, in 56, they had to strengthen the eagle.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's 2 different types of eagles on them, and people, particularly of that era, they're looking for varieties.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's one of those where nobody really cares too much. It's also with the Bugs Bunny. The Bugs Bunny's like a dyed chip.
Clash.
No, it's a clash.
Or a die clash. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's a die clash.
Close enough.
And because of that, it's like, so people are Bugs Bunny. At the time that this is going on, there is just people are hoarding coins.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, still denying that they created a coin shortage.
Right.
Because they did. Interesting about the Franklin halves, though, is that most people don't understand that the grading services do not grade by a standard set of grading rules.
That's right.
They grade by their own. PCGS grades by PCGS standards. NGC grades by NGC standards. And Annex actually uses the ANA standards. What's really interesting is that in order for a coin to get full bell lines from NGC, it needs to have both top and bottom bell lines full. PCGS only looks at the bottom set of lines. Now, knowing this, which coin would you rather own?
Cameo.
The NGC.
Yeah, but
Full bell line.
And yet, the PCGS coin sells for more than the NGC
right.
coin all day
Most
long.
PCGS coins.
It's weird.
It is weird.
Because we all know better, and yet we buy the plastic.
So how does CAC
never
grade
buys
them?
plastic.
How
What'd
does
you say,
CAC
Paul?
grading grade them? How do they grade their full bell lines?
CAC? I haven't had enough experience with them to know yet. They have not published a set of grading standards.
They
That's the thing is
supposedly,
you can
Aren't they
buy-
using the ANA grading
yeah, they
standards?
supposedly go with ANA grading standards, but
Well,
they'll change it.
here's
Like,
the
aren't
problem.
they using the ANA
John
grading?
Albany started Annex.
Right.
John Albany started PCGS.
Right.
And John Albany started NGC.
Right.
That's right.
And CAC grading.
I like
Yeah,
cat
but-
grading.
So I wanted to show off a little something in front of me. This is one of my favorite sets of all time. It's my 1942 proof set.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I liked it because it has a proof walker and a proof Merc.
Mercury dime.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
People are kind of getting into the proof mercs now.
well, it's because they're really
Well,
tough
they
to find.
should.
They're even tougher than they were 5 years ago. 5 years ago, they were doable.
I mean, look at the reverse on
So
this
was my
thing.
ex.
But
Oh, sorry.
So why are there two nickels in there?
one's a type
One is a war nickel and one is a regular nickel.
Ah,
yeah.
There's one
Philadelphia
Yeah.
made the proofs.
I didn't catch that. Yep. Mm-hmm. The only
I
proof
love
of the
this.
war nickel, right? 42.
Now, did the proof sets that came from the mint have both nickels in it, or did they have one or the other, and you put this together?
You could buy it either way.
Either way, yeah.
You could buy it with 5 coins or you could buy it with 6.
And you could
But
buy
if you
the
bought it with
individual
6,
coins,
you got
right?
the silver nickel.
You could
Okay.
buy the individual proof coins also, correct? Still?
I think they stopped doing that in 1936.
I thought they stopped doing it in 54.
Okay, well that's possible. I didn't buy any of that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it was
My
my impression
understanding
that
the
they
flat
used
packs-
to sell a group of the minor coins,
Mhm.
which was your cent, your nickel, and it was just your cent, your nickel, your 3 cent. If there was anything under that, anything that was made that was not precious metal was
Mhm.
considered minor coins. And you could get a set of those,
Hmm.
or you could get the other coins individually.
I had heard a rumor about singles being sold at the gift shop. That if you wanted a single proof half, you could get it
They
at.
had a gift shop back then?
I will
They
tell
had
you
a
that
gift
I was
shop
at the
back then. You
Philadelphia
could
Mint. I was at the Philadelphia Mint last year. I did not see that.
No, this is like pre-54.
Oh,
Yeah, when they
yeah.
went to
I
the-
mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
because you could go into the mint gift shop and buy a roll of pennies, and they would wrap them in tissue paper, 2 things of tissue paper.
Mhm.
Well, the other neat thing is you could also get a souvenir set.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know about souvenir sets. Souvenir
Oh,
sets were
yeah.
sets that were made for the people that took the tours at the
Mhm.
mints. And in 82 and 83, when we were changing the composition of our cent, we didn't make any mint sets.
Right.
So you can still find 82 and 83 souvenir sets from both mints. They sell for a relatively big premium, but
Yeah, they do.
if you want a complete set, they're there.
And there's only, so there are different ones too. You can get them that were sold to magazines or that you could buy through magazines. There are other ones that you could only buy at the gift shops.
I tend to think as anything other than what came from the mint
Me too.
as just commercial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They were
But
put
the
together
little
by
token
Numismatic
that's in it is
News.
cool.
Cross Publications did a lot of that stuff.
Yes, and the token inside it will say.
Cross Publications, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I pick those souvenirs 82 and 83 sets up whenever I can see them for a decent price. I will pick them up.
Well, the quarters are worth like they're worth like $50 a piece.
And quarters
Well,
and dimes are
That's
worth
the only way you're going to get a high grade.
I found a Broadstruck 83p quarter the other day.
Lovely.
Nice.
show off.
Well, you know. So next dad joke.
Yeah, Joe.
Anybody else got a dad joke? My
do.
computer is not working. I'm so angry right now because it's like I
Why?
would have had a whole list of dad jokes here.
Oh. I don't know any.
Yeah, some of those things can be extremely expensive.
Mm-hmm. Just the 2012 also mint sets and proof sets. Those are a low mintage and those have a higher premium than
Morning,
most of
Kevin.
them are.
Vote for Pedro.
I
Carson
do
City
like it.
Gift Shop. Are they hiring?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
did you
if you
guys?
guys ever get a chance to tour the Carson City Mint/museum, you should do it because it's.
Yes.
And I don't know if the same guy is still doing the tours and stuff, but they also have little lectures there that you can attend. You have to look at their schedule. But I saw one. I went to one that was about their assay office, about their assay thing, and it was really interesting.
Grocer Stan says, "How is being a good father like shaving? No matter how well you do it, you have to do it again tomorrow."
That's true.
I don't like
That
that.
is true.
Saint Nicholas.
So
So
Stan, you know what what bothers me? Are you guys Avenger fans, or do you like like
Mm-mm.
Marvel, or you guys like DC?
Either.
So if you're a Marvel fan, I don't know why they don't use the Hulk to advertise more. I mean, basically he's one big banner.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh, David Banner.
Come on. You have to like that one.
I got that one.
I hope you
Yeah,
guys
there
enjoyed
you
that
go.
one. That was fun.
Funny.
Good for you.
Stop it, Mike.
Stan's like,
You're such
I
a-
haven't had this big an opportunity to pick on Paula in a while.
I know. I love it, though. I secretly love it.
Oh, it's not a secret anymore, just so you know.
I
Well,
know.
that's true.
Well, I can't keep secrets, so don't tell me anything.
What do you
Paula,
call
what's
a
your favorite
lazy
dad joke?
kangaroo? What do you call a lazy kangaroo?
I know this one.
I don't know.
A pouch potato.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down.
Yep.
You know-
I saw that one.
Yeah, so I had the same book on super glue. I mean, it just sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
Pedro.
You
What did
know,
the fish say when it hit the wall?
Hated coins. I want to go back to hated coins.
Well, let's finish this joke first.
What did the fish say
What
when
did
it
the
hit the
fish
wall?
say when it hit the
Damn.
wall?
Damn.
What?
Yes. Damn.
What did the fish say when it hit the wall?
Damn.
Damn.
Oh my
That's very
gosh.
good.
Okay. Back to the hated coins.
Shield sense. Shield sense. Hate shield sense.
Okay.
Oh, okay. There you
Um,
go.
Here's my question to you, because it's like it's easy to hate on something.
Right. And I use that term loosely.
Would you rather see another 50 years of memorial sense?
Not necessarily.
Okay, then man, that shield is looking an awful lot better.
My problem isn't the design as much as it is the scent itself, the composition. They're just hard to hold.
Memorial too.
Yeah, well, even then, they were slightly bigger, slightly thicker. If you put a roll of shields or new shield scents in a tube, there's a 1/4 inch from the top. If you put a roll of 82 or 83 or 84 in a tube, they're all the way to the top.
Did you know that proof copper-plated zinc scents are plated twice?
I didn't, but I do know that the planchets are treated differently.
Now you do.
Why are they plated twice?
So you're saying that you don't like the fact that the roll doesn't fill with the shield scents, right?
Well, no, I search a lot of scents. That's
right.
That's my thing. Is I look at Lincoln scents. When I hold, my way of searching, most people search under a microscope. I actually get into a recliner, turn the TV on, I got a light, and I use a loop.
Right.
And they always are slipping out of my grip and falling in it. Where the other ones, the edges are sharper, so there's more, let's say abrasiveness against your fingerprints.
Okay, but let's look at it this way. Every time the U.S. Mint has changed the composition of the scent, it's gotten thinner.
That's right.
Copper nickel Indian head scents are really super thick.
Yeah.
So
you got the
natural progression of things. They're going to get super thin in a couple of years. They're going to get so thin you can't even hold them.
Well, even proof scents, people don't realize, like the tubes, people always buy penny tubes. And I say this a lot you get a penny tube that'll hold a roll of 60s proof scents. It'll hold 50 Canadian cents. But if you get a regular penny tube, it'll only hold 48 proof scents and 48 Canadian cents.
That's interesting. I never really checked that. And
so
I've actually got this stuff laying around.
There are tubes that are made for proof scents, and they just technically cross to Canadian scent tubes. That's a piece of information that nobody will ever use.
Well, you know what? That's my whole life.
Mine too, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I have found a way to make money out of the useless information I know.
Yeah,
share with me.
But that's how dad's function is on useless information.
Yeah, the shield scents were not made to last. That's for sure. None of the.
Oh, that's like $1 bills. They're not made to last. They're what's it, 21 days or something like that, or 17 days is what the average $1 bill lasts.
The average lifespan of a $1 bill is 18 months.
Really?
Yeah, the average lifespan of a coin is 35 years.
Yes.
Unless Kevin, you're talking about nickels.
Silver 3 cents were they? Oh my gosh! Yeah, they were. It's hard to. Silver 3 cents and the half dimes.
Yeah, that comes up if you Google the U.S. most hated coins. The actual answer that Google gives is 2 cent piece, 3 cent piece, and half dimes. That's actually
the 2 cent piece is lovely.
Yeah, see, and I don't understand. So this is something that Eric and I were talking about just prior to this. I love the obsolete coinage. It's one of the reasons that I actually got into collecting coins. I love the story of the 3 cent dime and that they created this specifically for a stamp, and there was reasons for it. And then, but there are questions about like the 20 cent piece. What in the world was the purpose for it? Like, now I love those pieces. They're cool. They're pricey. You can't find one that's in XF or VF or something like that for under a couple $100. But what was the intent? The other one is, why in the hell are they still making half cents in Canada?
In Great Britain, in the commemorative sets, they still make half pennies.
Yeah, why?
Okay, that would be purely historical because it's not money there anymore. It's like they decimalized their coinage in 1970.
Yeah.
So it's like the smallest coin they have is a new pence. But
they made new half pennies for their collector series.
Yeah. And it's purely for collectors though. Yeah. It's not really legal tender. It's not, even their commemorative coins are not legal tender. You can't spend them. It's not like a Silver Eagle where you could technically spend it.
Yeah, that's something I didn't know.
Britannia is not legal tender.
So we have not demonetized any of our.
Unlike the American Silver Eagle or the
Correct,
Libertad,
Mike?
which are legal.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Paul?
So we have not demonetized any of our coinage.
We at one time demonetized trade dollars, and then we reinstated them.
Reinstated that, yeah.
So that was kind of how that.
What year would that be, Mike? Do you know?
I can look it up.
76, maybe?
77, probably.
No, I think that they were remonetized in 33 with one of those coinage acts.
Oh, gotcha.
Because people were using them to pay people, and that was why they demonetized them. Because there was so much less silver. As for the 20-cent piece, okay, this is another one that has a really cool story. But first, why do crabs never volunteer?
Crabs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're shellfish.
Oh my God.
What kind of shoes do frogs wear?
I know this one.
Oh. I don't know.
Open-toed sandals.
So yeah. Nice. Why did the blonde guy fall in the well?
The 20-cent piece was a really failed attempt at buying more silver out west and coining it into things. You had two kind of different societies in America. You had the people in the East, and the people in the East were city folk. They used banks. They used, all the different institutions, and they trusted the banks. So when it came time to make a 3-cent piece, right, they were able to make a nickel one that circulated in the East. In the West, it was a completely different story because you have the gold rush going on. So there's metal everywhere. And so people didn't trust clad coins. They wanted metal. So out West, you have 3-cent silver coins. You have half dimes that are still circulating. You have, $20 gold piece and a lot of gold every place. The idea with the 20-cent piece was to be able to buy more silver from the miners and be able to put it out there in circulation. The problem is that it was really close in size to a quarter. One of the biggest differences between it and the quarter is that the eagle's wings point the other way. They point down instead of up. So that's the easy tell. The other easy tell is that they have a plain edge instead of a reeded edge.
Right. Okay.
But that would lend itself to chiseling. So it's one of those coins where the people out west just didn't like it. And so they made lots of them the first year and almost none of them for the last two.
And we can segue into almost the same size of a quarter into not Sacagawea, but Susan B. Anthony.
Susan B. Anthony's. That's
here's the problem I've always had with that. Okay, yes, it's the ratio of size is about the same.
It's close, yeah.
Have you ever confused a nickel for a quarter? Because that ratio is the same.
I haven't confused a Susan B. Anthony for a quarter, but a lot of people do.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I think people are basically lazy and they don't pay attention.
Well, that's
so let's go back.
Probably a better idea to make the new dollar coin in brass, so that you really could see the difference. I think that's probably a good idea.
If you can see.
Yeah, but Mike, let's go back to what we said at the very beginning of the live stream, right? The more you know, right, the less you hate something. A lot of people who didn't do that didn't even realize there was a Susan B. Anthony coin out there. So they didn't know to look for a difference. So again, you have to look at common sense is only common if everybody has it. Right? My granddad used to teach me that. Don't chalk things up to common sense because if I'm in the South and I talk about grits, but I'm up north and I talk about multi-mill, are we talking about the same thing? Well, we both know the answer is no. But if you're looking at breakfast cereals, they damn near look the same. So what's the difference? So it's not that anybody's ignorant. It's just that if you don't know, you don't know. Part of the problem with the Susan B. Anthony that I have was that public outcry was pretty substantial. And then they turned around and they issued again in the 90s and then did that because they were trying to get ready for the Sacagawea push, which they were hoping that would be a better suited coin because one, they would change it to manganese, and two, it would be a shift from the identical looking nature of that Susan B. Anthony. My question is, why was the SBA redone in the 90s?
Okay, so there's a reason for that. First, I want to tell you that the composition of the Sacagawea dollar was made such because it is absolutely identical as an electronic signature to the Susan B. Anthony. So a vending machine can't tell the difference. And I think that's really interesting because they're made of such different compositions, but the electric signature is the same. They had to make them in 99 because the law authorizing the Sacagawea dollar coin authorized a dollar coin for the year 2000. The Treasury was running down on dollar coins, and literally the Fed ordered them. Just like I keep on saying with pennies.
Penny, that's right.
If the Fed orders them and the law says that it's still a denomination, the mint will make them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what happened with that. And so they made them in 99. They, it was a total afterthought because they didn't even put them in the mint sets or the proof sets. It really came as kind of an emergency thing. And then what they did was they made a proof of it, and they made it at Philadelphia, which is weird, in the middle of nowhere. But that's why they made them. Interestingly, they made a couple of pattern Sacagaweas on half-ounce gold eagle blanks. And they put them on the space shuttle, and they took them into space, and they're in the Smithsonian.
I did a video on those.
Yeah, they are 2000 W.
Yep.
So
there's 12 of them, and they're all located. Actually, right now, they're sitting at, if you look at the position, they're actually at Fort Knox right now.
Yeah. Well, that would make sense. It's where they belong.
Did you know that all business strike 40% Kennedy halves were struck in Denver? 65 to 70.
I did not know that.
All business strike 40% Kennedy half dollars. I was going to do a video about it, but I'm lazy.
You should. It's a good video. Well, that's
now you know.
With no mint marks, you can't tell where things are made. Now you know. That's an interesting fact to know. Like the pennies, they made them in San Francisco too. In
74
article, yep. You can look it up. It's called The Anonymous Coins of 65 to 67.
Yeah, but I think that the book Mike actually has mintage figures from San Francisco and all that for the mint mark.
It certainly does.
Well, these are business
look that up?
strike.
Yeah.
Only business strike.
Okay, let's see. Mintage figures.
Here, I will post the article for you guys.
Give me 5 minutes, or give me 2 minutes, and I'll find it.
Sure.
Mintage figures for what?
For the 65 through 67 Lincoln cents. How many were made at each mint?
There it is. The anonymous coins of 65 to 67. Oops, let's look. Let's get this up here. Copy.
Okay,
let's see.
289.
65.
Here's the article.
It's funny. I have the page marked.
Anonymous
You knew something told you. I was
I
going
don't-
to ask you that.
I don't see the ones that are listed by mint, but there was 1.4 billion in 65, 2.1 billion in 66, and 3.0 billion in 67. But I don't see it separated by EDS.
I have it separated by mint.
Cool.
1965, Philadelphia made 0. Denver made 63,049,366. San Francisco struck 470,000.
proofs. Or
No.
SMS.
No.
SMS.
Those are 65s.
Yes, SMS. San Francisco did the SMS. Yeah.
Right. And that's what the difference is. The 66 was made all in Denver. 106, 439, 312 with 284,037 special mint set. And in 67, the special mint sets were made in Denver. 293,183,634.
Read that article that I put up too for the anonymous coins.
You talking about me?
Well, whoever. I posted it.
I'm
in
having
the
a problem seeing certain things on my screen. So
I posted it in the chat. I can send it to you if you want me to.
yeah, why don't you?
Yeah, okay.
And in the meantime, I will say that you need to be careful watching. You have to watch what you say around egg whites because they can't take a yolk.
Yeah.
I can't take a yolk.
I knew that one. I saw that one coming.
Okay. Which
Do you know who Snow White's brother was?
I have two of you on Messenger. Which one do you want? Noodle or?
Well, not me. I'm beached.
You want? Oh my gosh.
So, Mike, do you know
who Snow White's brother was?
No.
Egg white. Get the yolk.
Mike, do you know the difference between a well-dressed man on a unicycle and a poorly dressed man on a bicycle?
No, I'm loving this. What?
Attire. You know, when Eric was talking about when he was young and he used to work at a soda machine, a place that filled soda machines, and he said he had to quit because his job when he was done. I mean, obviously you had all those cans; he had to crush the cans, and he said it was so depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you save your dad jokes?
In a database.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In a database?
Database.
In a database.
Yeah, I've got a new pen that can write underwater. It can write other words too, but it can write underwater.
Right.
I love that joke.
Okay.
My boss told me to dress for the job you want, not the job you have. So I went in as Batman.
So hated coins.
Yes, hated coins.
Hey, Eric's like, no,
I'm
we're
taking them
getting
all
back.
today.
Let's get out of the dad joke thing.
No, I love the dad jokes, but we got to go back and forth. I mean, we have narrative here.
Yeah.
I don't hate
Kennedy halves.
Kennedy halves.
That was in this chat. A bunch of people said they didn't like Kennedy halves.
Okay, so Kennedy halves. Do you know that there are 4 different compositions to collect?
Let's see. So you have the
3.
business strike,
silver, cloud.
Oh yes, I did know. Now that I actually thought,
and you have a gold
Now
one,
that you
right?
thought about it.
Yeah. Gold. Huh?
Oh no. The gold one isn't a Kennedy half. I'm talking about actual Kennedy halves.
You have 90%
90%
silver, 40% silver, clad,
and 100% silver.
that's right.
100% silver. What year was that? The 70?
No, that's 19.
No.
That's 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24
yes.
proofs.
Oh,
Oh
that's
my
right.
gosh, the proofs. Yes.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
That
So
was
you
the
got
first
4
time
different
ever.
compositions to collect them in. You've got different types of relief. If you really want to watch the minting process, take a look at the Kennedy half series because it starts out with a 64 that's really nice and basined.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes and it gets progressively flatter and flatter and flatter all the way to 2013 and 14. And in 14, they made a conscious effort to rebasin the dies. So you can find 14s both ways.
Hmm.
And from then on in, they basin the obverse die. The reverse die, not so much, which kind of makes a weird coin. But
Yeah, I like.
But they're cool that way.
Coins.
Well, which one was the reverse die? You mean the reverse? You mean the anvil or the hammer?
Well, I'm assuming that the reverse is the anvil, but I don't know how they make them.
No, the
I thought it
reverse
could be
is
either
not
way.
always the anvil.
Yeah, I thought now it's set one way, isn't it, Paula?
I think since '96, I think it's been completely.
But before that, it could be one way or the other.
reverse is then now the hammer die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crazy when they switched to the vertical or the horizontal.
Yeah, the high speed mini presses, I think is when
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, and the way that they feed them has changed.
Yes.
Yeah, because originally there was 16 big presses and there's 64 or 65 presses in each mint now. I don't know why there's 65. I'm thinking that one might be like a test press, maybe. I don't know.
Spare parts? Who knows?
It could be, but I guess that the footprint of the presses is 4 of those little presses go where one of the big presses used to go. And each press can do coins 4 times faster than the press before.
So I'm going to tell you guys one of my favorite stories. And it was honestly the story that I told Harlan when he interviewed me for the job that I have.
Nice.
So I would say that it's the story that got me my job. Harlan was asking me about, what we do on our podcast. And I was telling him that we educate people. And he asked how. And I said a lot of times we just tell stories. And he says, so tell me a story.
Hey, Mike, let me interrupt you real quick. 949 just gifted 5 memberships. Lady Braven, SW, Fat Baxter, Chad, and Begotten, thank you to 949. Very much appreciate that. Thank you so much.
That was so good. It called for a dad joke. What do you call a Frenchman in sandals?
Philippe.
I don't know.
Philippe Philip.
So I gotta quote Cartier. He did, what's the difference between people in Dubai and people in Abu Dhabi? Well, the people in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but the people in Abu Dhabi do. I love that one. That's funny. Thanks, Cartier.
Okay, go ahead. Tell your story.
So anyway, so we were talking about how we educate people and we tell stories. So I told him the story about how the United States Mint, the first U.S. Mint, started in 1793, but that they didn't make silver coins until 1794. And there's a reason for it. And the reason is one you would not think of. Basically what happened was, the law, as they made it out, they wanted to make sure that the chief coiner and the assayer would be bonded because they were going to handle large amounts of gold and silver. So they set the amount of $10,000. Now, I don't know about any of you guys, but in 1790, $10,000 was a lot of money. Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of money. So they literally could not put up the bond. And so they started their operations anyway, and they started accepting copper. And so they were making half cents and large cents. And it took until the very next year. They literally had to petition Congress to change the law. And it took an act of Congress to lower the bond to an amount that 4 Philadelphia businessmen could put up so that they could actually start making silver and gold coins, which didn't happen until the next congressional session in March of 1794. So all we have in 1793 is large cents and half cents. 1794 is when all of your silver starts. 1795 is when your gold starts.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
It's just neat thinking about the beginnings of the country and what they had to go through. I mean, look, we think of it as there was a bunch of farmers. Some of them are. There's a bunch of lawyers. There's a bunch of other people like that. But they are people that never governed before. And this was a giant experiment anyway. So they're trying to figure things out for the first time. And I think that their story is one that is really worth knowing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but didn't we also utilize coppers because of the ease for us to get British coinage, and we would just be able to utilize the planchets that were already created and overstamp?
Well, I will tell you that we were absolutely all for it. We would make cents on pretty much anything we could get our hands on. And sometimes Condor tokens ended up being struck into like colonial tokens. Not quite so much for the US Mint stuff, but maybe it was just struck better.
I love Condor.
So it obliterated it better,
foreign
and you just didn't know.
A lot of, especially South American, that's overstruck on other countries' coins.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
It's a pretty common
it
practice.
is, and
yeah.
it's always cool when you can see a host coin underneath it.
Yes, that's the cool part of it.
We actually were in copper coins. Chuck was doing his thing, going through coins, and then afterwards, every once in a while, he'll talk about coins, break them down, and he had one. And while we were sitting there, he was like, "Oh, you know what? I've seen this element before." And he went into his little review thing, and then came back out and was like, "Here's the coin," and created an overlay, and it was actually one of those that was overstamped, and it was fun to watch the process and see how, because he has such a vast knowledge of coins, cents and stuff, that he was able to recognize a feature of a coin that I would have never known the coin even existed. But it's fun to watch people do that. And those things develop.
Chuck always says he doesn't know coins. He knows coins real well. He worked at, his career, he was basically at a coin shop for 20 years.
Yeah.
So that'll teach you a thing or two.
Yeah. So he just doesn't like people coming up and asking him questions about francs and British pounds and stuff like that.
Sometimes people are modest too, and they look.
It's
like to walk out to the world and profess that you're an expert at something. I mean, I will tell you, I don't like doing that.
I don't. Nope. Because I learn every single day. I work on coins every day. And
you can fill libraries with the stuff I don't know.
And that's what overwhelms me about the Ancient Coin podcast.
Okay. What overwhelms you?
Good morning,
I started watching from episode number 1. I had COVID. For those who didn't know, I had COVID. Actually, it was before COVID. It was, and I start watching, and I'm like, oh, so then I start, I'm on my phone, laying in bed watching this, and I'm Googling and this and that, and it keeps going and it keeps going. And I'm like, well, I'm going to watch the next episode. This is like super interesting. There wasn't one thing that was the same, and it was another 40 different, all different time periods, all different countries, and I was just like, holy moly!
So let me ask you, how far into the series have you gotten?
About 4 episodes.
Okay.
Because I was becoming overwhelmed.
Here's what I'll tell you. Let it wash over you and just keep watching, because I was the exact same thing. The idea behind this podcast is that I don't know ancient coins.
That was me.
And Aaron is teaching me. So I very much felt overwhelmed, and I still often feel overwhelmed. But now, after a year and a half, I am starting to recognize some things.
Yeah, but my overwhelmingness is like there's one coin you seem to see over and over again. And he always says, "Oh yeah, you can get these for $50, but this one has lineage to it and stuff like that, so that's why it's worth money." And I forget what it was. I don't even remember now, but yeah, everything. It was like so much because. I'm like, well, let's expand our horizons a little bit. I just do mainly Lincoln cents. I do nickels, dimes. I do all American modern coinage, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking and I'm just like, wow, this is great. I love it. I'm like, my brain is like a sponge. I'm taking it all in. And then finally I'm just like, whoa, brain's like, calm down. You're 60 years old. You're not supposed to be working this hard anymore. So, but yeah, I plan on watching all of them. But I did have to take a break because my brain was being consumed to the point where I wasn't getting my work done.
So here's what I recommend you do is give it a casual watch. It's like just kind of watch, and because what we kind of settled into was Aaron goes through a lot of auctions,
right?
And he talks about the coins that are coming up in auction. On the next show, we'll go back and we'll show what they sold for,
right?
And kind of recap that.
Too. I watch the new ones when they come out.
Yeah, so it's good reinforcement for that. And like I said, I'm even starting to recognize a few things. But if you really listen to the show, you will find out just how little I know about ancient coins.
Well, I found out how little I know. And Anybody, I can't believe the amount of knowledge he has, because there's literally thousands and thousands of different coins.
Well, you got to understand who his father is.
Right, I do.
I mean, he grew up with this stuff. His
Right.
sister is Shanna Schmidt. I didn't know if you know that.
I did not.
That's Harlan Burke's other daughter. Shanna Schmidt, numismatics. She's an A&A. She was an A&A governor, and she runs an ancient coin business. It's in the family, man. It's just like,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I got to get up to that store just to look.
I know. I would love to go there sometime.
if you come down to Chicago and you don't come to Harlan Burke, I will come look for you.
I gotta go just to see.
I will probably go to Chicago just to go to Harlan Burke, because
there you go.
I've been to Chicago, and
there's more eye candy than just coins.
I'm from the Midwest. There's not much more for me to see there.
Okay. Well, I mean, one of the things that Russ and I have been really, really concentrating on is to try and make it a destination shop.
Yeah.
That if you're a coin collector and you're in Chicago, you go, I gotta go to Harlan Burke.
Right.
That's been our whole thing.
Well, that would be why I would go. So it would be a destination. I would probably fly in, go, and then fly right back out and maybe go see my kids in Michigan.
Yeah, there you go. Get a pasty.
And coming out of Tampa, I would have to go to Chicago for the airport anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Bye, Robert Bruce. Have a great day. Happy Father's Day if you're a father.
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Speaking of Father's Day, do you guys know when a joke becomes a dad joke?
No.
When it becomes apparent.
Right.
It's like, it's coming.
Yeah.
You just don't know how bad it's going to be. You just know it's coming, though.
It's really easy to find Will Smith in a snowstorm, right? Just look for the Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince.
Okay.
I was going to say that could have went bad real easy.
Yeah, I every racist thought that's going through my head.
Oh.
Oh, hey, did you see the coins that I have up here?
Yeah.
This is my memoir to the police. Look at all them coppers.
Nice.
I gave a handyman a to-do list, but he only did jobs 1, 3, and 5. Turns out he only does odd jobs.
Here's
I
a good off-tangent trivia question. Where did the word cop come from?
Cop comes from CAUP, which was an English word. Pardon me?
You're on the right track.
Oh man, I
it's
know
an
this.
acronym.
I can't remember.
Constable on patrol.
Cop in a field.
Constable on patrol.
Constable on patrol. It was an English term.
See, I had a buddy.
On patrol. God.
I had a buddy who was county sheriff, and he used to wear this giant belt buckle. And if you looked at it, it said PIG. And if you got close, it said pride, integrity, and guts.
Yeah.
Nice.
How is my wallet like an onion, Paula?
I don't know, Mike.
Every time I open it, I cry.
I knew it.
Oh my goodness.
So do we have any more hated coins?
Yeah, any more hated coins? I think I've taken all comers so far.
$8.
Yes. Now I am not a fan of those big.
Okay.
I love them.
I got you with $8 too.
Yeah,
and it's not really my problem with them is not anything other than the strikes and how they spot.
Yeah, I didn't like them because they weren't functional.
Well, so trying to find a proof that isn't just wrecked is a problem.
What year?
Well, any year, but
Jack Stacker with the $5 super chat. Thanks so much. Why did this scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field.
Knew that one.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate the super chat.
So yeah, the Ike dollars to me, it was just their functionality. They're so huge, nobody could have like
They're
$4 in
huge.
their pocket or their pants would fall down.
Bulky.
They remind me of Las Vegas and time spent with my grandfather.
So what do you think, Mike? Is there
All
anything?
right. So the deal on Ike dollars is this. Why did they make them so darn big? And the reason is very simple. The gaming industry, excuse me, the gaming industry in Nevada was trying to get dollars for the slot machines.
Mm-hmm.
By 1964, wow.
This topic
Sorry.
really chokes him up.
Hairball.
It does choke me up. By 1964, the silver dollars had a value of about $1.50. And so to go and play dollar slot machines in Vegas, they had to figure something out. And so the gaming commission lobbied the government to make a new dollar coin. And the Coinage Act of 1965 said that they would not make any silver dollars for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So 1971 was the first opportunity that they had. In 70, they made the hubs because Eisenhower died. And they made the coin, and then they made 40% silver versions of it because what did people still call it? They still called it a silver dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was you there's dust in this room really bad. So with the give me just a second.
Get a drink of water.
Apparently, we hit a tender spot.
I love that joke, Kevin. I tell that when the bear comes to take a pee, kick him in the ice hole.
Ooh.
I always say polar bear. You dig a hole in the ice, cut a hole in the ice.
So the gaming industry was what petitioned the government for it, and they asked that they make a coin. To be honest with you, it's like by the time they got around to that, the gaming industry figured out they could make their own. And so they started making the casino tokens that you're used to seeing now. The dollar ones were really big ones. They were the same size and weight. They fit in the slot machines. Now they don't even use gaming tokens.
Yeah, now everything's digital.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, that's the whole reason they made them, was to placate the gaming industry so that they would have coins for their slot machines. But by the time they got around to doing it in numbers sufficient enough to get it done, the gaming industry figured it out for themselves.
So I just happen to have these handy.
I love those.
These are the
There
old
you go.
gaming tokens.
Okay, so those are sterling silver middles and brass outsides.
Mm-hmm.
They contain about 3/4 of an ounce of silver.
It looks like they're $10 coins.
Yeah, usually those are $10 denominations. And people collect them from the different casinos.
I have a number of them. I just grabbed 4 of them.
Hey, Paula,
Yeah.
can a frog jump higher than a house?
I don't know.
Well, a house can't jump, so.
I can't show this.
I was going to try an almond diet, but that's just nuts.
That's
nuts. D's nuts.
No, leave D out of this.
D's nuts. When is
my home poker game? Next week.
I wish I could show this. It's really pretty.
I wish you could show
God, I
what?
have picked on so many U.S. coins. Let me try to pick on an international coin.
Oh, nice.
It's a hologram. It's like
So I remember when I was younger, Paula, you showing those. They used to have a machine. Hey, what's up? Just Stack It. Good to see you, bud. Long time no chat. There used to be a machine when I was younger. My granddad would do this. It was kind of the one, and you, depending upon what jackpot you hit, you could win a Morgan dollar, you could win a Peace dollar, you could win some of these tokens, you could win some other prizes. And depending upon, you get 3 sevens or red, white, and blue 7 or whatever the jackpots were, they would kick out different items. And then you would go pick these up. And that is kind of where the Ike dollar kind of rings for me. Again, Ike dollars, there, if you want to collect a book of something, start with Ikes, like, or nickels, right? Because you can get really good quality coins for fairly cheap, and you can collect the entire thing. I mean, proofs, everything, for not a ton of money. But every time I look at those, it brings me back. And again, why do we do a lot of collecting? It's for wealth preservation in some sense, but it's for the stories. I mean, that's what I love about what we're doing here today and the conversations that we're having, right? That's the whole premise behind why I was so glad to hear, Mike make the suggestion and talk about this, because there's a lot of opportunity for stories. And, how did I get into coin collecting? Looking for years that were 100 years old when I was born, the 1873s, right? And my desire to collect a set for my daughter that were 100 years old when she was born. And so I want to reiterate that there's a lot of stories that Mike is bringing up. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of historical accurate stuff, but don't forget about your personal stories, right? So is there something that there's a hated coin, but is it because of something that happened, right? And if it is, then let's talk about some of those things, right? Because again, that's numismatics, right? It's the remembrance of things. If we look at a coin and we think about what's going on, if we look at, I think of the Peace dollars, and I don't see the evil, vile crown of, Medusa that a lot of people see. I see that, that integrity piece, that piece that stands upright. So we all have different stories. So I appreciate Mike coming up with this idea, because I think it's a lot of fun.
Well, thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
So, Paula,
Sure.
I went to a silent auction.
Mm-hmm.
I won a dog whistle and 2 mimes.
Mike.
It's Father's Day. It's time for kids.
So Mike, you got, obviously, what do you call a cow with no legs?
It doesn't matter. They won't come.
Well, yeah, but ground beef, right? What do you call a cow with 2 legs?
What?
Lean beef. What do you call it when a cow jumps over a barbed wire fence?
Steak bean?
Utter devastation.
Oh my
Devastation.
A police officer interrogated a male cow in Houston. The headlines read, "Questionable." A lot of people don't know.
Oh, God.
Oh my God, it's getting bad now. It's getting
So
bad.
I live in Texas. Cow jokes
It's
are
like,
kind of a thing here.
what do you call a man with no arms and no legs on your front doorstep?
Your counterpart.
No, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your
Matt.
counterpart. Yeah.
Matt. Yeah.
What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs out in the middle of the ocean?
Bob.
Bob. What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs water skiing?
Yep.
What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs in a pile of leaves?
Oh boy.
I know this. Hold on. I don't remember this one.
Russell.
Russell, there you go. Yeah.
And what do you call a dog with no legs?
Don't bother. He ain't coming anyway.
That's right. It doesn't matter. He won't come.
What do you call a guy with no arms, no legs that sits in your mailbox?
Bill.
What about a guy that jumps in a hole?
Phil.
Nope. Guy with no arms, no legs, don't jump.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Gosh.
Guy with no arms, no legs hanging on the wall.
Art.
I said Happy Father's Day.
You did. Oh.
Ah, that's sweet.
Oh, very nice. Hey, did you hear about the guy in camo who took the wheelchair?
Who did what?
The guy in camo who stole the person's wheelchair?
No.
He said, "You can hide, but you can't run."
Oh, wow.
There you go, Paula.
Mm.
Oh, looking. Never mind. Wrong feed. Look at that.
What's up? What's up, little
Good
man?
morning.
Good morning.
Is he the
Doing
one that
good?
used to like the foxes?
Yes, he did. Ah. Can you say fox?
Fox.
There you go.
There you go.
He's come a long way.
Can you say horse at last? Say it. Say horse at last.
Horse-ass.
That one still needs some work. Huh?
That one needs some work.
So DGS says, "Lady with one leg. Her name is Eileen. What about if she's
Eileen.
Filipino?"
What, Mitch?
Irene.
Irene.
That's
Yep.
bad.
Oh my god.
That is a Hawaii joke. If you are ever stationed
That's
or
funny.
live near Hawaii, you'll hear that.
Just remember, you don't need a parachute to go skydiving. You need a parachute to go skydiving twice.
That's exactly correct.
That's true.
My wife has one she wants me to tell you. Why don't you call a koala a bear?
They're unbearable.
No, they lack the qualifications.
Qualifications.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. That's a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
So do you know why people get up in Athens before sunrise?
Don't step on that, Liam.
No.
Because they say dawn is tough on Greece.
Oh,
Right.
wow. You know, dogs can't operate MRI machines, but cats can.
Cats can, yes,
Cats
yes.
can.
Yep. If you're
Oh my
actually
God.
watching
I'm
in
gonna-
the portrait mode, that is actually on the screen right now. So during this entire session,
He's in here.
I've had a bunch of dad jokes just randomly populating on the vertical mode. So if you're on that side, you've been seeing tons of these jokes. I probably did maybe 100 images, but yeah, that one actually just showed up just to finish saying.
What do mermaids use to wash their fins?
Tide.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of good jokes. Lots of good jokes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I got to get out of here, you guys.
What did Yoda say
All right,
when he saw
Paul.
himself in 4K?
What did the what say?
What did Yoda say when he first saw himself in 4K?
I don't know.
HDMI.
HT.
Nice.
Have a great day, you guys. Happy Father's Day.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Think of
Enjoy
more
your
hated
dad
coins.
jokes.
Because this was a great topic.
All right, Paula.
Think
Have
of
a
some
wonderful day. Thanks
international
for
hate.
being here, my
Bye.
friend.
Have a blessed day, you guys.
Yeah,
see you
maybe
later.
I'll come back and do another one again sometime. This was fun. I really
would be
appreciated it.
perfect.
And we are going to have sometime soon. We don't know exactly when, but Aaron Burke will be on.
Give us I think it's towards the beginning of next month.
So
Like towards the middle of next month, somewhere in there.
I've been telling you guys we've been trying to work that out. It is going to happen, but I just want you guys to be aware.
Yeah.
So I appreciate Mike for helping me work that. But we are going to have basically, I think you said an entire weekend, right? We're going to be Saturday.
He
and
said he would do
Sunday.
both Saturday and Sunday.
And just
And he has some pretty interesting topics to talk about.
Yep, come and chit chat. So if you know people who like ancients, make sure you let them know. We'll provide you more information. Mike, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming up. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely enjoyed this. Absolutely. Anytime. Now, the link that I sent you, if you looked at that, that is standing. Anytime you want to come up, just pop
Thank
on
you.
in.
I
So
appreciate
you're
that.
open invitation to the panel anytime you want. I have posted a number of times in chat, both Aaron's for the Coin Show podcast, and this is um,
Ancient
let's
Coin
see again.
Podcast.
Yep, this is the ancient one here. And then again, we have the Coin Show podcast, which is, oh, I just closed the window. I hate it when I do that. There it is. Okay. And this is the Coin Show podcast. Please make sure you go check out them, go say hi, subscribe. Aaron and them are really close to 300,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So make sure you go check them out.
Crazy. That's great.
Crazy.
It's
They're doing an amazing
nuts.
job.
It is absolutely nuts. I've been doing the Coin Show podcast with Matt for 15 years this month. And Aaron's show has just, they're ancient coin people are nuts.
Well, they have to be to know all that stuff.
Well, there's tons of information, and
There is.
yeah, and the one thing that Aaron talks to people like people, right?
Yes.
And when he explains stuff, it's very easy. So if you've never gone over and seen Aaron Burke, go check out Harlan J. Burke. Go check out those their website. Go like, subscribe to their channels. But again, tons and tons and tons of great information. Please make sure that. Again, Mike, thank you so much for being here. Eric, as always, I appreciate your
pleasure.
friendship. Have a happy Father's Day, you two.
Happy
And,
Father's Day to you.
Father's Day.
Yeah, we have a sad day ahead of us today. We're actually having to put our dog down. So it's going to be a rough day. So I appreciate the laughs and the jokes. That'll definitely make today a little bit easier. So I appreciate all
you
guys.
hang in there, man, because that's a tough day.
It's going to be a rough day. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the day. So we've got 3:00 today. We have somebody come into the house. They're gonna do this.
Okay.
But y'all be well, be blessed. I appreciate you all for being here, and we'll see you in the streams, folks. All right. Take care.